Perfect. Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Anne. I'm very excited to be speaking here today. This is my first talk being 19, so it feels really weird. And I also feel really old, even though I shouldn't be feeling old at 19. But for some reason, people expect me to be mature now, but I don't know if that will happen. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about my life and give you some advice, hopefully. And hopefully, if you want a nap during my thing, it's okay too, but you know, it's all good. Okay, so I was born in Victoria. I've lived there all my life. And here's me with my first toy, which was a box of transistors and other electronic components. My parents didn't give me many toys, except for stuff like this, which is why I didn't have any friends when I was growing up, but it's okay. And because I wasn't given many toys, when I actually wanted them, I had to go out and make them myself. So I would take my hot glue gun, and I'd go around the house and collect garbage, and I would piece together inventions. Of course, they never worked, but the idea of taking the resources around me and piecing them together to make something better was kind of almost forced, or was there from the start for me. So here's a little video of me presenting some of my toys slash inventions slash art. So, okay.
This invention was my second invention. And it is called creation. The one I just showed you is called invention, because that's the first one I made. Now this one, you see this flat one is post so he can sit down on him, or I can sit down on him. Creation. But I don't sit very long because he can break.
So you can see I really loved talking about all these different things. There's a whole table of other stuff. And looking back, we actually have hours of footage of me just talking at various points of me growing up about all these different things I used to make. And since my parents noticed that I had a love for both tinkering and talking, they suggested that I join the local science fair on Vancouver Island when I was in grade 6. So that is what I did. This was a very tragic time in my life where I resembled Harry Potter and everybody thought I was a guy. But I was very proud of this. I thought it was cool. Like, my parents would literally take a bowl and then just cut around. But anyways, so after my first science fair project, who here has done a science fair project for school? Okay, we got a decent number of hands. A lot of kids, once they do science fair and they're forced to do it for school, they absolutely hate it afterwards. But I loved it, and I was the only kid in my grade ever doing science fair. And so from then on, I went, and I actually was counting the other day, and I did 10 science fairs in 7 years, from grade 6 to grade 12. So I'm a nerd, in case you didn't know, but I'm very proud of it. So all my projects were kind of in the area of energy harvesting. So I was playing with stuff like solar cells, piezoelectric discs, Peltier tiles, and things like that. And when I was in grade 10, one of my friends in the Philippines, as I am half Filipino and half Polish, and I was just messaging her on the internet, she told me that she had failed her grade in school because she didn't have any light, and she didn't have any electricity to study with the night, so she literally just couldn't see her notes. And that was very shocking for me to hear at age 15, that someone, a girl just like me, just somewhere else in the world, didn't have something that I totally took for granted, which was light. So I decided to base my next science fair project around her, and I created the hollow flashlight. This is like a very early drawing of it that I did. And it uses those Peltier tiles you can see there. So if my hand is a Peltier tile, it's really very simple. If you heat one side of the tile and you cool the other, a small amount of electricity is produced. So I heated one side with the palm of my hand, I cooled the other side of the tile with a hollow aluminum tube, and that allowed for maximum airflow to flow through and around the tube and cool it even further. So basically, the greater the temperature differential between the hot and cold side of the Peltier tile, the more light was produced. Here's the very first model of the flashlight I made. I literally got like PVC piping from Home Depot and craft foam and like put it all together. Those 4 tiles you can see on the top are the Peltier tiles. I've lost this flashlight, but that's okay. So from there, I went to my local science fair, I went to the Canada-wide science fair, and then my teacher told me about the Google Science Fair, which was in its 3rd year running, so I just applied on a whim. And for some reason, in the beginning of my grade 11 year, I got to go and be one of the regional finalists down in Mountainwood, I believe, California, which is where Google is living, where they are at. And a lot of crazy things have happened from then on, and it's been very amazing and very surreal. So where am I right now? Well, I'm right here. Anyways, but I go to University of British Columbia. I just started my 2nd year of university, and because I did so much science fair and I had a lot of interviews and people asking me, well, like, you must be going into science, right? Like, you've done science fair all your life. I became quite confused on whether science was something everyone else expected me to go into or if it was what I really wanted to do. And because of that, I took some time. I took a very general 1st year in university, and then I'm actually studying English literature, which a lot of people have been very surprised about. And I found that I really loved science outside of school. I loved pursuing it on my own or with my mentor, who is my father. And I don't know, I really find that the school systems really need to improve in the way they teach science, because I was doing a lab with Play-Doh to test electricity and resistance in grade 11, and that was very frightening to me. But I'm sure universities are much better. But yes, I'm doing English literature. I love writing. I'm actually writing a book about new inventors, and I hope to be getting a show with Popular Science, which is really cool because I used to be subscribed to them when I was growing up. So that's always really exciting. And I do talks. I like to talk, in case you didn't know. And yeah, so before I leave you, oh, also I did the e-drink, which is a coffee mug that harvests the excess heat of your hot drink and converts it into electricity to potentially charge your iPod or phone that is still in prototype form. Oh, and I'm also kind of in the middle of doing a bunch of business stuff that I never ever thought I would be doing with my science fair project to get into production later, next year probably. So before I go, I'm going to go a little over my time. I'd like to give a couple pieces of advice that I wish my high school self or even middle school self had known earlier on. So the first one is that you are an average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. This was very frightening for me to learn because I was like, well, who do I spend the most time around? Like, 2 of them are cats. Does that count? Like, I can't tell. So really think about it, though, because the people you spend the most time around, they're going to influence how you act in certain situations, and they're going to influence what you spend your time on. So really make sure that you're spending your time with people who encourage your passions, who also are pursuing things that they love to do, and who are accepting of who you are, and you don't have to like act differently, which you should never have to do, to hang out with them or stuff like that. And they should be trying to use their time most efficiently. Now, we all have those times where we like veg out on Netflix. That's different. But make sure that you really have people who are really trying to like use the time they have on this earth to do something good. The next one, I love this quote. It's by Thomas Edison, as you can tell. And it's, to invent, you need a good imagination and a pile of junk. And it's not necessarily to invent, but also just to innovate in general and to come up with great ideas. You don't need like fancy laboratories that you see in like TV shows all the time. You could get that at a later stage, but when you're really just coming up with ideas, just let them flow and use the resources you have around you, just like I did when I was a kid, and just see where you can go from there. And don't let your intellect and like your logical process like stop you from coming up with great ideas and being like, oh no, that's not possible. Just like go for it. Just do what you want. And this one was said in the video. This is by my beloved Tyler Oakley, who I watched religiously in grade 10 and in grade 11, grade 12. And when I heard this quote from him in one of his videos, it really just like totally flipped my view on life and how I felt about myself. And it was, care less about what other people think, because at the end of the day, everyone is so worried about themselves and how they're coming across that nobody's actually judging as much as you think they are. And this was really important for me to hear when I was in middle school and high school, because I was probably one of the most self-conscious kids out there. Like, I had glasses, braces, boys' haircut, boys' clothes, and I was just like not considered cool. But even worse, I was nervous that people in my grade were going to think I was a nerd or someone uncool for doing science fair. And that's ridiculous, because you should be proud of whatever your interests are. And it, again, like, half of them aren't even going to care. And second of all, you should be pursuing what you love, and people around you shouldn't be stopping you from doing that. So be proud of like what you represent, what you like to do, and don't hide it. Like, I literally never told any of my classmates I did science fair until like grade 11, because I was just so self-conscious. Like, I used to walk around, now I have contacts, but I used to walk around without my glasses, completely blind at school. Like, I have like -4 vision, just because I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want anyone to see me with my glasses. So just be like proud of who you are, and like, just if next time you do public talk, like come up in your pajamas. Like, honestly, everyone's gonna love it. So that's my tip. Lastly, this is a quote that I heard in one of Casey Neistat videos, and he said, "The most dangerous thing you can do in your career is to play it safe." I don't really need to say that much about this quote, but I think it's really important to know that sometimes you have to take a bit of risk to go whatever your goal is. And like, you might have those really crazy dreams, but it's really important to pursue them. Whatever you wanted to be when you were a kid, even if it was like, oh, a singer or like a performer, or it was whatever it was, like, go for it. Like, don't let people who say, oh, but then you'd have to do this, this, and this, just do it and just go for it. And believe in yourself. You have to be the best version of yourself, and there's nobody else like you out there. So show everyone what you can do. So thank you very much.